I was the only English speaker and the only Jamaican in my department. 한국은 진짜 제 삶에 엄청난 영향을 주었는데요. 그리고 이 사업을 시작하는데도 진짜 영감을 많이 주었습니다.
I thought you were gonna say something like, hello guys. Oh, you do actually speak Korean?
Yeah, I do.
As a young Jamaican lady running your own business, how easy is it or how difficult is it for you? What do you think?
Starting a business in Jamaica is a very good idea.
The spicy mango has dry pepper in it?
Yes.
Oh.
I had to develop the process to make it, into a product that is delicious. You want to make a delicious product at the end of the day.
This video is sponsored by you. Thank you so much for the support.
This is a product of Jamaica, the most delicious dried fruits I've ever tried. But that's not the best part of the story. The business owner is a young Jamaican lady who speaks fluent Korean, so of course I had to share this platform with her, and I hope you enjoy her story as much as I did.
My name is Jervian Johnson. I am from Spanish Town, St. Catherine in Jamaica. I am the owner and operator of Tropicks 365. We produce dried fruit snacks such as mangoes. The company was started in 2021. That was actually right in the middle of COVID. And starting a business is something that I always wanted to do.
Did you have an access to a lot of fruits, or why did you choose this particular thing?
Jamaica produces a lot naturally. You can find a variety of fruits in abundance, and it is also a business opportunity that has not been explored in Jamaica. And I also realized that it is a common issue when people are traveling and they want to take, fruit for their family members or friends. They have to worry about how they're going to take it. And so, I thought it was a good idea to actually venture in this area as opposed to other areas. All the products that are produced by Tropicks 365 are made here in Jamaica. I have a factory space with the equipment that are used to manufacture the products.
Do you have many people working with you, or is it just you alone?
I do have workers that assist. So I basically lead the process, and then I have seasonal workers that will come in and assist with the production. All right, so for today, the product that will be made is dried mango, and one of the first stages is to wash and sanitize. Just use these pans because we need stainless steel, and these are stainless steel. So, all right, and then I use a scrubbing pad to just make sure everything, comes off. The thing is that the fruits are seasonal. You have different fruits, but you don't always have them in season. And then when they are in season, they grow so abundantly that a lot of times they go to waste. So it is a way of preserving the fruit, making them available when they're out of season, and then also reducing waste. Plus, it's a different taste. Mm-hmm. I got exposed to dried fruits when I lived in South Korea, so I studied there for 3 years. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is, I remember that taste, and I thought about Jamaica because we have a lot of fruits here. Mm-hmm. So, and they're delicious. So, when they're dried, those flavonoids, they remain in the fruits, and, it just makes a really nice product. So,
what does the choice depend on? Like, why not do, say, I don't know, June plum?
Well, I actually am in the process of developing June plum. So the thing is that it depends on the nature of the fruits. June plum now, it has the seed in the middle, and it's kind of difficult just to get it out. The fruit part, it's difficult to get it out. So I have to kind of find out what size is good. I have to develop the process to make it into a product that is delicious. You want to make a delicious product at the end of the day. This is mango salt and pepper. This is one of the products produced by Tropicks 365. It was inspired by how we eat mango in Jamaica. So we have the ripe mangoes, but we also have the turned mango that we sometimes eat. For example, spicy is one of the flavors that Jamaicans like. So, I thought that would have been a good flavor to have. And then we also like tangy things. So the sweet and sour has a tangy taste to it.
Tell me about sorrel.
Sorrel is one of the drinks that Jamaicans enjoy. It is most had at Christmas time, but it is had right throughout the year. And the thing about dried sorrel is that it is way more potent than the fresh sorrel. So you can have twice as much from the same amount or even more. So it's a very good product.
Where did you learn to produce these fruits? Do you have some kind of education that helps you with this?
I did my undergraduate degree at the University of Technology, Jamaica. There I majored in chemical and process engineering. I then moved on to do a master's in environmental engineering in South Korea.
Oh, well, how did that happen?
I gained interest in South Korea from being a part of the International Youth Fellowship. That's a youth organization. And they have a volunteer program where you have South Koreans and other youth from different countries that come to Jamaica each year and they volunteer for 1 year. So that's how I got exposed to Korean culture. And I was intrigued by it, and I made friends while I was here, and I actually wanted to go there as a volunteer as well. However, later on, I found out about a scholarship opportunity, and that is how, I thought it would be a good idea to actually study there, and I would get the chance to experience the culture, the language, and, everything associated with Korea while actually getting a higher education. So it was just a really great opportunity.
Do you still have some friends in South Korea? Do you want to say anything to them?
I do. I absolutely do. 저는 한국은 늘 돌아가고 싶은 것입니다. 그리고 한국은 제 2의 고향입니다. 제가 한국에 있었을 때 진짜 생각해 주시고 도와주시는 분들이 진짜 많았는데요. 그리고 그분들한테 진짜 감사하다고 말씀하고 싶습니다. 한국은 진짜 제 삶에 엄청난 영향을 주었는데요. 그리고 이 사업을 시작하는데도 진짜 영감을 많이 주었습니다.
Well, that's a lot. I thought you were going to say something like, hello guys. Oh, you do actually speak Korean.
Yeah, I do.
Did you study Korean?
I studied in Korea for 3 years. However, the first year was about learning the language. So I did nothing else except learn the language.
Wow.
So that basically gave me a really good background and foundation in terms of the grammar and pronunciation, vocabulary, etc. So when I moved on to do my master's for the next 2 years, I was able to pretty much function properly in the country. The classes were held in Korean.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So you actually studied in Korean?
Right, I studied in Korean. I was the only English speaker and the only Jamaican in my department. So they were not going to speak in English for me. Actually, what I did, because one of the things though was that the notes, most of the notes were in English. So what I would do is read up on the notes before, what I needed to convert to translate to Korean, I would do that so I could follow the class. But all the explanations were done in Korean. My lab mates were all Korean. But it really gave me a push to actually learn the language and to sort of, develop the language, my language skills.
I see. Are you planning to go to Korea again?
I do. I actually plan to go to Korea this summer.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, all right. How was it being a Jamaican in South Korea?
So, when I first went to Korea, there was the usual culture shock. So, the language, the weather, the food was different. Everything was just totally different. But as I said before, when I was in Jamaica, I had friends there, so they assisted me a lot in, taking me around, helping me to warm up to Korean culture. But it was a lot to adjust to. However, one of the things that we learn in the IYF is really to challenge difficulties. So whenever we meet upon something, to actually have the mind to overcome it. Even though at first the taste of the food is different actually from Jamaican food. However, with that mindset, I decided to really try it and, adjust to it. And I did. So within the first year, I basically learned the language. I fell in love with the food. I basically loved everything.
Well, the food was spicy, right?
Right, so it's kind of spicy. And they have this national dish called kimchi. So it's kind of like spicy sour, and it's with all the foods there. So, that taste, I had to really adjust to it. And, I love all Korean food now. The people in South Korea are very friendly. So at first, they might seem standoffish. So one of the things you'll find is that because of English, they tend to seem not approachable. So if you approach them speaking English and they don't know, they might seem to not be friendly. However, I'm happy that I actually learned Korean, so I could confidently ask them, in Korean, and they're always surprised because I'm a foreigner. I'm obviously a foreigner. So when I speak Korean, they're always surprised, and that is always the start of the conversation. Like that sparks the conversation. Like, why did you come to Korea? And I'll tell them why and so on.
Was it the first time where you experienced finding like these snacks with dry fruits? Is that what inspired you to actually do this in Jamaica?
Yes. Well, because I was in a foreign country, I actually longed for, some local foods. I didn't take much local foods, unfortunately. So when I was, I went to the store one day and I saw mango, like dried mango. And I personally really love mango. So I was like, oh my gosh, I have to try this. And it really was a different texture, but it still had the flavor. And, I was like, oh my gosh, I can still get that flavor even though I'm miles away. So that particular product, it really stood out to me. And it's also made me thought, why not do this in Jamaica? I mean, we have so many fruits, they're delicious. This is something that we should definitely capitalize on.
So was it in Korea where you learned how to do the dry fruits out of fresh fruits? Or did you learn it by yourself when you came back?
Oh, no. So I didn't learn how to make the product in South Korea. I just encountered it, I tasted it, and I liked it. However, when I was thinking about the business development, I actually approached the Scientific Research Council. So that is where the actual product was developed.
Oh,
Right.
okay. Scientific Research Council? Where,
Yes,
in Jamaica?
In Jamaica.
Okay. I want sweet and sour.
So, okay,
All right, let's do
this one. All right.
Sweet and sour? Mm-hmm. All right, let's do. Okay. And then do spicy.
I add dried pepper to it.
Okay, so spicy mango has dry pepper in it?
Yes.
Oh, but is it done like at the last stage after you have
So
dried
it's
it?
after it's dried. So it's added as a final seasoning to the product. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so, right, let's see. Close and then the settings, right? I'm heating it to 100 degrees Celsius and it will heat for the 10 minutes and then it will produce the results. So the moisture machine is used to test the level of moisture in the dried product. So even though it is dehydrated, it still needs to maintain a certain level of moisture so that it is still soft and chewable. Our dried product is 8.5%.
Okay.
So this is good. This is right where it needs to be.
Oh, so this is the syrup?
That's the start of it, yeah. All right, so the purpose of the syrup really is to add preservatives to the fruit while sort of helping with the texture. Mm-hmm. And it also depends on the maturity of the fruit as well. So you know, for fruits that are turned, we'd want to, you know, use the syrup to sort of soften it a little bit. So that is really the purpose. But the main thing is to introduce the preservatives into the fruits.
The fruits. So without the preservatives, the fruit's gonna spoil?
So because it still has some moisture, it's not that it will spoil right away, but because remember, even though it's a dried product, it still has some amount of moisture in there. So we still have to add things to prevent the growth of microbes because they will use the nutrients and the moisture in the foods to grow.
Okay, what about like things like sorrel? Because it's super dry, so you don't add any...
no, so depending on the type of product. So with sorrel now, because of it is basically used like a tea or drink and we don't eat it. So remember like with mangoes, at the snack products, we actually eat it right away. So it can't be too dry. But with sorrel now, we can dry it to a crisp because, you know, we're using it to extract the sorrel flavor from it, so.
All right, so with them, you don't need the syrup?
No syrup is added. So that is 100% organic, like just dried, nothing added to it. This is the heart of the process, dehydration, and I use a commercial dryer to dehydrate all the fruits or the vegetables that are used. This particular dehydrator has 4 compartments and they're all isolated, so they allow for different products to be dried at the same time. I can set the temperature and it also has a timer. Depending on the type of product and the water content, it will take, you know, a certain length of time to dry. So I can just set that, set the temperature, leave the machine, and it does the rest. In terms of the capacity, so it holds quite a lot. So as you can see, quite a number of trays. It can hold quite a number of, you know, about 100 kilograms of product depending on what fruits are being processed. Just the nature of the fruit, because mangoes, you don't want it to be like too rubbery or hard. So like a lower temperature is better for that one. But it might take a little bit longer.
Smells so good.
Right, yay. Oh. So see, it didn't take a long time. The thing is that you don't want to cook it for too long because remember it has nutrients and you want to preserve as much of the nutrients as possible, so you don't want to cook it for too long. I was boiling for a little. Alright, and that's it. So at this point we don't have like a set schedule as yet, so the processing is done according to the order. Not that I do like only exactly what is needed, but sometimes I do more than one fruit at a time. So I can aim, for example, to have this full of pineapples, have the other one full of mangoes, and so on. It just depends on the orders and how I plan to use the machine to fill that order. One of the products that I do is pine skin and ginger, and there's also sorrel and ginger. So I would dry the ginger separately and then add it to the other products. So leave out a tray. So this is the dry ginger. As a small business owner in Jamaica, there are many challenges. One of them is the cost of production. The process currently is manual, so not automated, so the labor cost is high. Actually have a reasonable cost while maintaining the quality of the product. You know, that right there can be a challenge, as well as just overall consistency, product consistency.
But are there any Jamaican companies producing products
Dry
like yours?
fruit?
Because I don't really see many Jamaican ones.
Even though they don't produce the dried fruit itself, but you have other snack companies. So
all right, so it's substitute.
Right, substitute, right.
I saw some dry fruits in supermarkets, you know, being sold in supermarkets and so on.
Right, those would be imported, right? Most of them are imported, right? So I'm not just competing with the locals, but international companies. So it's quite challenging. It can be challenging.
But your products feature Jamaican fruits, whereas those imported ones are obviously from elsewhere. So one might think that it means it's cheaper for you to produce them locally, so at least you don't have to import anything. And but it's not necessarily. Where do you get the fruits?
Not necessarily So the fruits are all locally grown. However, because the company is still small, it is not mass produced, well, compared to other larger companies. So the cost of production will be influenced by the volume that you're actually producing. So even though it is imported, because the cost of production could be so low, it actually could work out to be cheaper.
As a young Jamaican lady running your own business, how easy is it or how difficult is it for you? What do you think?
You know, it's a lot of times I don't think about it. I really think about my goals, like where I actually am headed, and you know how far I want this business to actually reach and expand. You know, there are challenges in just like, you know, finding the time to do everything and ensuring that it is organized, and you know, just think it's like a child that you're growing, so you have to watch over it, and you know, like a fruit or a plant that you have to water and stuff like that. So
what would you tell some young Jamaican entrepreneurs who are just there thinking if they should start their own business?
Starting a business in Jamaica is a very good idea. However, you have to be realistic and understand that there will be challenges, and as such, it is very useful to consult with experts in the field. Personally, I consulted with the Jamaica Business Development Corporation as well as the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association. I have friends as well as family members. I have church members who are business owners, and they provided a lot of insights into the in and outs, you know, what is really required in order to run a business efficiently and to make a profit.
So where can people buy your products?
The products can be purchased in local shops right here in Jamaica, as well as through online stores. And I would definitely say support local companies, support brand Jamaica. And so I'd really appreciate that.
Thank you so much for being available for this interview.
Thank you too. Thank you for having me.